What does it mean to say, I am? Is consciousness an accident of biology? Or is it the fabric of the universe? On Spinning the Light, we bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern inquiry. We're stripping away the illusions of the ego to find the radiant core of human existence. Join us, your hosts, Christy and Sharon, as we unravel the mysteries of the mind and illuminate the true nature of being. This is Spinning the Light.
Hello. Oh my goodness.
Thank
Back again.
Back again.
Oh,
Take a breath. Take a breath.
yeah. Been running around a little bit. Kind of going off of what we talked about last week, because this is going to be like little building blocks, I feel like, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, these are the conversations we have at home all the time, and we're just kind of continuing on.
Yeah. So this is usually our morning coffee conversations, believe it or not.
It is.
But, one of the things we want to talk about today is challenging, and I should say, giving ourselves permission to challenge those constructs that have been in place for so long that we don't even realize we're doing things. It's just like on that automatic. It's like that hamster on the wheel. Just get up, go do it, go do it, go do it. And once again, we feel like progress is being made or whatever. But like the hamster on the wheel, we're still in the same spot.
Yeah.
But we feel like we've moved somewhere. We really haven't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that though there comes after a time a dissatisfaction because we realize that we're just staying stuck.
And I think it's that realization. And, I think even being a therapist, a lot of times it's people come to this realization of what I am doing is not working for me. I am not living my life.
Yeah, exactly. We're not feeling the fulfillment that we hope to feel when we're going through these motions.
Well, I think oftentimes we're told, well, if you do this and this and this, you're going to lead this happy life. Not understanding that each one of us has a different destination, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about these constructs, is even like that. It's that thing of, okay, when you got to go to school, you got to go to college, you got to get a degree, you got to do this, you got to do that. That becomes that construct.
Mm-hmm.
Though somebody might say, you know what, I'm really creative. I don't want to go to college. And, that's what I love about today. We have things like Etsy. We have all of these social platforms where people can get on and be more creative, be more about that authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that we realize the importance of the spiritual aspect of that. When you are not getting your soul fed in the way that you need, you constantly feel depleted. And I think that's where a lot of people are. And we talked about that in the last episode, just spirituality. And I think what it means for our peace.
Well, and I think even when we talked last week, we talked about the experience with your dad. And, I lost my parents. I lost my dad in 2014, and then I lost my mom in 2015. And even what is our idea? What is our spiritual idea of death and dying even? How does that play a role in our healing process sometimes?
For sure. I don't think that we're ever faced more with those questions about our spirituality than when we are faced with a loss. And we have known a lot of people here recently that had a lot of loss.
We attended a memorial on Tuesday, and then we attended a funeral service yesterday. So, and to watch this and to watch how these belief systems play out is really a fascinating thing for me. But, when we talk about that, how many times do people say, or I've heard this, I wasn't told this, but I heard this from other people, my friends, you don't question. You don't question the Bible. You don't question God. You don't question faith. You don't question.
Yeah, because it shows a lack of faith. And I think, yeah, I mean, that's with the story that you're told a lot of times through religious context.
But if I don't question, how do I grow?
Exactly.
If I don't sit there and explore these ideas and these possibilities, I don't think a higher power, God, whatever you want to call your higher power, is so afraid of questioning. I think that is how it is through our questioning. And, you know, it's even like I've had students who've questioned teachers. Why do you say it that way? I see it this way, or all of those kind of things. We are taught to not question authority. We're taught to not question the status quo.
Exactly. As I think it's important, we got to give ourselves permission to look outside of these constructs that we have been taught. It's a vital piece of deepening our understanding of these things. We had just recently read a book called Map of Heaven by Eben Alexander. And I'm going to read a little quote from that. The realization, I just had a feeling of certainty that what I was reading was true, and suddenly I felt like a weight had lifted, and that it was okay for me not to have a religion. It was okay to just feel what I was feeling. And I think that if we take a look at that and just sit with that for a minute and give ourselves that space, there's something so freeing about that.
I think we spend so much time external to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, oftentimes I'll tell people, what is going on internally? What do you mean by that? What does that mean? I really hear. And it's because of that. But sometimes in that stillness, we will find that peace. We will find an answer that we've been seeking for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And to give ourselves permission to say, it's okay if I believe this way in this moment. There is nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it and not caring about that outside judgment of what others perceive that we're supposed to be or do or believe or act or on and on and on.
Exactly. I think in order to have any semblance of peace, we have to look at our own behaviors, and we have to give ourselves that grace to ask those questions and not be afraid, and realize that our behaviors are all that we control.
And I think that's the thing. I think historically we have been taught the opposite of that. Somebody made you feel that way. You made me angry.
Mm-hmm.
You made me. No, these are all choices. And when we start to understand that power that we have, that I have the choice and the power to dive deeper into who I am and what is my connection to everything external to me.
Exactly.
It's a connection. It's an extension of, it is not me. What is it that I have that I can contribute to that collective?
Yes. What do I contribute through the whole?
Yes.
And how do we do that? I think that we have to take an internal look and realize one key word: integrity. Integrity isn't really so much about anybody else, but about you. And it says who you are. So I'm going to read, I know a lot of people know what integrity means, but I'm going to read this. A quality of being honest, ethical, and having strong moral principles that are consistently upheld even when no one is watching. This is being true to yourself and aligning with your own principles, showing up for yourself. It implies wholeness where actions align with values. These encompass accountability, trustworthiness, and sincerity.
And you know, integrity, I think people think sometimes with integrity, there's all these other pieces to integrity. And they might say, well, integrity is showing up, or integrity is walking the walk, talking the talk, and so to speak. But it's in those silent moments. It's when nobody is watching.
Exactly. I think that that's the piece that a lot of times people miss. When you talk about integrity, we still think of our obligation to outsiders, other people outside of ourselves. But when we're actually showing up for ourselves and being in alignment with what we say is important and following that through with action.
You know, I am a big DC fan. I love the DC characters. And when we watched the last Superman movie, that was about integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, he had to show up and do what was right at the core of who he was. Regardless of them talking bad about him, all the little bots putting in all the hateful stuff, which he didn't understand anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it was about, even when he had that conversation with Lois, it was wrong. What was going on was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they were attacking him, he could not stop. And even with Crypto, the dog he didn't really even care about, he had to take care of because he told her, he gave his word. And therefore he had to follow through. And even when they tried to make him believe, or the world believe, that his parents said he was something different, that he was here to take over the world, there was nothing in his spirit. There was nothing in the essence of who he was that could align with that.
Exactly.
But he struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
If this is who I'm supposed to be, how is it? But then when he talks to his earthling dad, he helps him to understand that. You have to be true to who you are, regardless.
Exactly.
That is integrity. When the world is against you, when people are being the way they are, we have to have the integrity. We have to show up. And when something is being done that is wrong, we have to be willing to say it is wrong.
Yeah.
Regardless of who it is, whether it's a parent, a teacher, the person of the cloth, a friend, a government, it doesn't matter.
We have to have a voice.
Yes. And whether people agree with No King's Day or not, it's coming up. Tomorrow is No King's Day.
Right.
And whether you agree with it or not, what it is people exercising that thing that they believe what is happening is wrong. And as a collective, they're going to go out there and have that energetic moment. They're saying, my moral compass says this is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, other people might say, well, I don't think it's wrong. And that's okay. This is the beauty of things. We don't have to agree. But when it comes to integrity, if you see something that is wrong, or if you're put in a position where you're asked to do something wrong and you compromise your integrity, that will sit with you, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. And it will stunt your growth.
You will not get that spiritual or that sense of, you won't get to that place of consciousness because that is a roadblock to it.
Yeah.
Because in our consciousness is our truth.
Yeah. And that's what, I think a lot of times people are a little put off when we say about speaking your truth. It's not that there's a truth and a non-truth, like that everything's just black and white. But we have this ability to show up by matching through our actions, and that is our truth because we know that it is the right thing.
Exactly. So it's kind of like if somebody, you're driving down the road and you're driving the speed limit because the law says you go 65, the person goes by you at 75 and says, that's just a suggestion. That may be their truth. However, it doesn't mean it's going to get them from having a ticket.
Yeah.
And go tell the judge that, well, judge, that's a suggestion. The judge is going to say, no, it's not. So we have truths and then we have those things. Our truths come through our life experiences. So if I have a certain kind of life experience, my truth may look different than yours. When we're talking about the experience we had with your dad, our truth moved. Something shifted because of what we experienced. The book she's talking about, Map of Heaven, the first book is called Proof of Heaven. And they're such fascinating books to read. He has 3 of them, Proof of Heaven, Map of Heaven, and she always forgets the name of this. And she's reading it. But he had absolute truths. In his mind, he knew the absolutes.
Living in a mindful universe. That's it.
He knew his absolutes.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to tell him. And he told everybody those absolutes. Even though people would say, I have this experience. No, you don't. This is what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. Those were his absolute truths. Until
educated to believe.
Until he has this experience.
Yeah.
And then everything he believed and everything he thought he knew, that whole rug was pulled right out from underneath him.
Yeah. He had to question those things that he had been drilled on.
We sit there, and I love this about science. People say, well, this is science and this. No, science is a theory until it's proven, but then you'll have something else later on that shows that that theory was not as good as it could have been. That's what it is. It's learning.
We build on these things.
Yes.
There's a foundation, and you just continue to build so that you deepen your understanding.
But if we feel like we know everything and we've experienced, no, there's a whole world out there. And it's only when we get to that place that we understand that, yes, I am wrong sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be wrong. I would do this with my parents. If a parent did something, I would say that you were in the wrong here and the child was in the right. Are you going to Parent doesn't apologize to a kid. And they're like, I don't understand. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And we would work on that.
Yeah, that's the philosophy that I was raised like that's what it's been, just drilled in our minds.
But once again, so then what are we teaching the child?
Yeah.
We're taking away their voice. We're teaching them not to question. We're teaching them all the things that are opposite of what they really need in order to grow and develop into who they are meant to be.
Exactly.
But once again, we get so caught up in these narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be a narrative, once again, it can be a narrative from all different areas. You don't question your boss.
Yeah.
It used to be back in the day, well, not that long ago, just so you know, but you, as employees, you could not talk about how much you were paid. Well, of course not. Why? Guess what?
They don't want that getting out.
No, because this person, even though you have the same experiences, they were choosing who they would pay and who they wouldn't pay.
Mm.
They were, or I used to love this one. If you're in this hierarchy position, you cannot really have friends in these lower positions. I never understood that.
Yeah.
People are people. I don't care what your rank is or what your thing that's your integrity. That is you doing what is right. If that person you like, that person who is in a lower position than you, then you have that. They're human beings first. All of this other stuff is made up arbitrary stuff.
Yeah. That's what's really important, is that understanding that when you show up for yourself and you are in alignment with those values that you have, those core values, then you are going to be able to show up for others.
But the only way you're going to know those core values is to question.
Exactly.
Is to explore. If you're this religion, learn about this one.
Yeah.
If you're this culture, learn about this culture.
And like we mentioned last time, you'll start to see this thread of truth that runs throughout each of these different religions and these messages. I mean, I think that you have to take a look at the commonalities and realize there's something to this.
Because so long as we allow this ideology of them versus us, those people, those ideas,
exactly,
I'm right, you're wrong, we are not going to break into that place that we need to be as a human race.
We have to understand our commonality.
And so when we do that, one of the things I loved is in college and stuff, I did a lot of different religious studies. Mm-hmm. And so once again, when I would do these religious studies, I was there like, oh my gosh, when you look at, you're right, that commonality, the true message of that was this, there's that central core thing about how we take care of each other.
Yeah.
And how we have a relationship with the higher power.
Yeah.
But here we are promoting all this other stuff, but we don't promote the true core essence of what these faiths and stuff really are saying. And we know that because how many times, oh, I don't like what that person says, I'm going to go start my own church. We have more churches and stuff because the way I believe is right and the way you believe is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Or how we spend the money, or how we do this, or how we do that.
It is so funny. I've been to many, many different churches. And when my friends would ask me to go to churches, I would say, okay. So I went to one of my friend's churches and I said, oh, this will be interesting. She goes, well, I said, I'm going to see if they insult the Catholics. She goes, I don't think they've ever insulted the Catholics. I said, oh, okay. We go in and I swear we're about halfway through the thing. And they brought up how Catholics are not this and that. And she looks over at me like, oh my gosh. And she goes, why do you think that is? I said, it's kind of the same reason when you see car ads, Subaru is better than Toyota or Honda is better than Subaru. You're doing a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what you're saying is, if I say I'm Honda, but I'm better than Toyota, you have now just told me Toyota is better and I'm competing with Toyota. This is not how this works, people. So it's just always fascinating to me. But like I said, I've been to many, many churches, and I think there is a time and a place for everything.
Mhm.
I really do.
Exactly. And I think that we have to be willing to question the norms and have a better understanding of where these ideas come from, how they pertain to us, and how some of them don't.
And particularly, I think, and we do this often, we will question a lot of norms because if it internally,
It doesn't
what,
sit right.
what somebody says is the right, but internally, I'm there like, this doesn't feel right. It's giving me an ick feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to sit there and say, why? Why am I going to go along with this? And then really go and start exploring, why am I having that feeling?
Exactly, because you know, our body will actually tell us many things, give us many messages. And I think we have gotten so far away from listening to that. It's really important that we go back to paying attention.
Well, and we've talked about that before, that having that paying attention to our intuition. Our intuition historically has been taken away because our intuition is our guide.
Yeah.
And if you take away somebody's guide, now guess what? They're going to follow because they don't follow themselves.
Mm-hmm. Following, just looking for outside validation and understanding. And I think that we have to look inward.
And we're taught so many times to not trust ourselves.
Yeah.
But if I don't trust myself, then that means I can be taken advantage of by others.
Exactly.
And you know what? That doesn't feel good. Nobody likes that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll feel it, but they don't even know what it is because they never stop to explore it because we continue to do that status quo.
Exactly.
And it's not healthy.
It's not. And it doesn't feel good.
No.
You do it for so long, you realize you're dissatisfied.
And when you're dissatisfied, I don't care if you're dissatisfied with your relationship or anything else, but when you are dissatisfied with yourself, you end up in my office.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So I want to read to you a quote. This came from jefffosteronline.com. If our spirituality does not move through our hands, our voices, our choices, our ordinary day, then it remains a concept, air fluff, living and embodied truth, awareness and action working together. My responsibility is to love. Spirituality without accountability is empty, and our shadows will always destructively leak into the world if we refuse to confront them.
That is so powerful
It is.
because we're all walking around with shadows at some time and point in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we do not understand that our spirituality, our core, our essence, they're tied in together.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about, and religion will always say that man was made in the image of God. Well, the thing is we're energy.
Mm-hmm.
Energy has no beginning and no ending, can neither be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how they describe God. And if that is true, then all of us have a piece of that higher power in us already. We are a part of it. And that should be present in everything that we are doing. And does that mean we don't go along and mess up along the way? Absolutely, because there's still that humanness about us.
Yeah.
No matter how much enlightened we get, we will still have negative thoughts. We will still have, it's not about that. It is about the journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the end piece. It is about the journey. And in that journey, what have I learned about myself? Who am I? And I have this client, and he has this amazing soul. amazing, amazing soul. And one day we're talking and he's saying all this. And I said, you don't understand this and you may not understand this. I said, but you have an amazing soul. Your essence is so kind in all of those. Now he started to cry. He goes, sometimes I don't feel that. I said, it's because you have to explore it. And from that time to now, he goes, I'm finding peace, finally. But we have to embrace, no matter what you're told, no matter when it starts or all of that, that plays on you. But when you hide your soul, doesn't matter if you're hiding it from the world, but when you hide it from yourself, we do an injustice to who we are as that individual, and we do an injustice to the collective.
Exactly. To the people around you. That's why you got to spin your light. And that's how you do it.
And ever since then, I see that light in him. It's that there's more light to him. And that's what we do. And when we're talking about this, when we're talking about each individual really getting in touch with who they are, their essence, their soul, whatever you want to call it. And we do that through our growth or our spirituality and things like that to get to that consciousness level.
Mm-hmm.
We are spinning the light.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Is Rise of the Guardians. Because remember, Rise of the Guardians, darkness the boogeyman wants to get rid of everything.
Yeah.
But so long as there was that one light,
one child still had hope.
And if one child had hope, the world had hope.
Yeah.
And that's what we're saying.
We can build on that.
If we continue to build that light, one person at a time, the darkness can never snuff out the light.
Exactly.
And that's what this is about.
Yeah. So the world is in need of change. And right now it's already in a state of flux. We can all feel it. So the only way to have any power in the current state of affairs is to focus inward and be the change that we wish to see in the world.
Be the light. Spin your light. Make it as bright as you can.
And the way you do that's through, like I said, show you that and having that integrity with yourself and showing love and kindness.
Show up for yourself and show up for others.
Yeah.
So we hope you can walk away with something today.
Yes.
But as always, we live in a place of gratitude. Every day we live in a place of gratitude, and we're so grateful to each and every one of you. And
you can find us on spinningthelightpodcast.com. That's our website. We would love for you to go there, subscribe, so you'll get an email whenever we have a new episode up and ready. And you can find us, of course, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I think that's all of it.
And Worlds of Wonder.
Worlds of Wonder is on YouTube. So it's Worlds of Wonder, Spinning the Light. It's sort of an accompaniment to Spinning the Light. And that's how the inside meets the outside world.
So through travel and stuff like that. So that's kind of the fun piece of this as well. Yeah. But you can find our podcast on there also. Yeah. But we want a community here. We want people to engage. Give us your ideas on what you're hearing. Let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Yeah. You had those moments in your life where it's been that aha moment. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That light goes on and you feel that shift in you. If you've had those moments, share them with us. You can share them on our website. Mm-hmm. We have a place for comment section. We'll be adding questions there for people to come and answer. So because we will learn through you. Mm-hmm. It's a relationship.
And there's a little bit of information on there about Noon Vibe. Sharon does a talk. It's called The Chat on Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Those are live. And you're welcome to jump on and strike up a conversation.
If you download the app and follow me or any of there's many, many presenters from all different walks of life. If you follow them, then you'll get a notification when we jump on. I just happen to be on 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Saturday and Sunday. And it's really a cool thing because that's also where we build the community. And so we have a really fun time with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much. And we will be back next week. And we're hoping that the things we're talking about are starting that dialogue,
Yeah.
starting that questioning, and starting that journey into finding your light and then spinning that light.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and we'll be back.
Thank you.